Ciao, guys. Welcome back to the Artful Podcast. It's Matteo, your host. And before we go on with the new episode, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, support the channel like that. It's really important. And no further ado, let's go on with the show. So, guys, in this new episode of the Artful Podcast, we have a really exciting artist with us today. I think it's my first time interviewing a graffiti artist, illustrator as well. It's VIDAM. Welcome to the podcast, VIDAM.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
No problem, my pleasure. I saw your stuff on Instagram and it looks amazing. It's so impressed. So I was really happy when you decided to be part of the podcast. So for people that might don't know you, just introduce yourself. What's your background? And then we take it from there.
Yeah, so my name is VIDAM. I am a Berlin-based illustrator and mural artist and painter. And I'm doing this for quite a long time already. And yeah, that's it.
So what's your background as a studies? Did you ever go into art studies? Did you study any college or university where you did I don't know, graphics or art or anything like that?
Yeah, so I was always interested in design and this kind of stuff, and then I had to choose a way of education when I finished the school, and that's why I studied graphic design or communications design in Berlin. But while studying this design topic, I realized that it's not exactly my cup of tea, and I switched to illustration while studying, because in this time I realized that this is more my stuff, the good old illustration. And yeah, so I focused on this, and we had also one class in this university about illustration, and this was my favorite class then, of course. And yeah, this is what I'm doing till today.
Amazing. Did you decide to change why you started graphic and then you change what during graphic in illustration?
Yes, because I made an internship before I started studying in a very, very big branding agency in Berlin. And then I worked there as a student worker while studying in this branding agency. And this really annoyed me because they had extremely big clients, and this was all about branding, and the teams that that worked on one client, they only saw this design for months, only one client-based corporate design. They worked only in this field, and this was so boring for a designer to work only for one client all the time, very big clients. That's why they needed a lot of material. But for example, I was working with the client Audi, the car Audi, and you only worked in their branding world. And as a designer, you want to invent new stuff all the time, and it was so boring. And I realized, okay, branding, this is not my cup of tea, especially if you're in such a big agency and you are dedicated to one client. You only do the same stuff all the time.
You focus all your time on only one client, and you don't have the creativity to expand into something else. I can imagine that can get pretty boring.
Yeah, so absolutely.
The reason why I wanted to talk to you, it's graffiti. I used to do actually graffiti. Nothing that good at all. It was more when I was young. I was having fun with my friends, and I was going in those dark alley, try to do some graffitis. And I'm so impressed for how you do it, because I know how difficult can be managing spray paint and all the kind of things. So how did you get involved with graffiti, and what kind of age, and a little bit of your story getting to graffiti?
Yeah, so I grew up in a very small village, and there was no graffiti at all, and so I didn't came into the scene while I was young, like a teenager. Most of the graffiti artists get in contact with the scene already in this early age, and then they do stupid illegal stuff and kind of thing. But unfortunately, I didn't have anybody who introduced me, so I got into the scene very late when I already studied in Berlin, so one of the graffiti capitals, and I was more into regular illustration, drawing, and design stuff. But while studying, I got in contact with people and got friends, yeah, who had graffiti background, and they introduced me to spray can art and yeah, the idea of painting my own illustrations on a large scale to walls, because yeah, this was something I didn't do until then, and it was a extreme game changer and mind blowing how
Yeah.
fast you can paint with a spray can, very huge characters, and this was my introduction. And through this, people I painted more and more, and then we in Berlin we had a lot of abandoned like old buildings, and they were an ideal playground to just to play around and work on your skills on actual walls, and nobody cared about, and this was really cool. Nowadays it's harder to find these abandoned factories, because now
Yeah.
they have they transformed into lofts and whatever. And yeah, but this was my introduction to this work, and I never painted traditional graffiti, what means letters. I never painted letters, only characters and illustration.
Yeah, yeah. It's that's what I was doing. Tags and like big writing. So how was your first impact with the graffiti? Because from illustration, which is like digital art, it's really on the screen, in front of your laptop in your room, to going outside and spray paint with people, maybe in a rush because you're doing something that you're not supposed to do. How was that? Was it exciting for you? Was it a little bit scary when you started? How did you felt at the beginning? And another question: did you realize that you were that good from the beginning when you start with graffiti?
No, at the beginning I was, of course, it was extremely bad, and it needs years. I think working with spray cans is very complicated and hard, and you need to practice a lot. And I'm definitely not good at all compared to people I know. And but at the beginning it was really relaxed, because I never made this illegal stuff. So I was painting and drawing at home and digitally, and very early I started with commission jobs and stuff like this. But when I got in contact with these friends who were into graffiti, and we had these opportunities in Berlin with these abandoned factories, it was a hobby for us to go there on the weekends, when in the summer, beautiful day, we just went to these abandoned factories. We always took a lot of beers with us, sometimes also a barbecue, and it was a really chilled atmosphere. We just went there, painted, nobody was caring about, and then we took our photos. There was no social media back then, so no pressure to paint something for Instagram or something, only for the fun. And this was the way I was painting, never illegally on the streets with a rush or the hurry in the background. So there was enough time, and was time to focus on the skills and getting better. and we did this for maybe 2 or 3 years or something, and then already the first questions for commissions appeared, because people realized, okay, there are these guys who illustrate well and also transfer these illustrations on walls, and then a lot of commission jobs came in, and then I focused on this kind of stuff.
When you say commissions, you means like people asking you to paint walls for you, for them, so like, you do graffiti for them in their space?
Yes. So it was from the beginning, it was always a mixture, the commissions, from traditional illustration jobs and wall design jobs, mural jobs, and for offices or like kindergarten space or whatever, different stuff where funny characters were demanded. And but I like to make design for several surfaces, not only walls. I also love the digital work, so it was always a mixture of everything.
Yeah. So let's talk about a little bit of your illustrations. It's I saw that you even work with some brands. I saw like a beer company. They call you to do their like their packaging on the beer. How did you get? So what are you looking when you do like illustrations? Because you do a really particular style. It's animals, but it's like those shapes, spiky. It's really a fun. I will put some picture in through the interview so people can see what I'm talking about, and your artworks. And so how do you start your process? You have a white canvas, like a white page on digital, and how do you take it from there?
So first you get your briefing, and if it's a commission job, or because every time when there's no job, I always use the time to do my own personal projects, paintings or digital illustrations. I print for like art prints or something, but it always starts with sketching, and I always sketch digitally. So when I was younger, I had a lot of sketchbooks and making analog sketches. This was cool because you collected a lot of sketchbooks. But nowadays, unfortunately, everything I do is digital. And yeah, it starts in Photoshop, and then I sketch, and until I am satisfied. And then I switch to Illustrator, and there
you refine your drawings on like Photoshop or Illustrator that you use, right?
Yeah, it depends. Sometimes I really work only with Photoshop, and it's more like a painting, digital painting in Photoshop. But if it needs to be more graphic, then or it needs to be vector based, then I do the rendering in Illustrator. So I'm not I don't focus myself on only one app. So I also love the fine painting in Photoshop. So that's also really cool. It has a different look, of course, and it's not vector based, but I like that.
Yeah. I do have a little bit of experience on Photoshop, and I still use Photoshop, but it's more like photo kind of related. So it's more like refining photos, and because I did graphic design when I was in Italy for like 5 years. That's my my studies. That's what I studied. So obviously they introduce they give us like a little introduction of on Photoshop, Illustrators, and thank God, because I use Photoshop pretty regularly now, for the podcast, for jobs and stuff like that. So are you I wouldn't say what you prefer, but what do you feel more free, and what do you like more between illustration and graffiti and all this art style that you do? They are quite different.
So sorry, what is the question
What do you
again?
what do you prefer between
I
graffiti,
prefer.
yeah, graffiti or illustrations?
Mm, uh, so if I could choose, I would prefer to paint all day, just
Mm.
artworks, canvases. So if I really had the yeah the chance to do what I want, I would only do this and get rid of the commissioned jobs. These are still important because I'm to make a living.
Yeah.
But if the painting would sell so good that I could make a living only with this, then I would definitely concentrate. But yeah, it's not so easy. That's why I need to do all the illustration
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
But
Um,
but I still really like it because the super cool clients most of the time, and also I got a lot of freedom to paint in my to illustrate in my style, and also always new challenges. Of course, with the different clients, you need to think in their businesses to understand it and to design something that they like and that fits to your style. And these challenges are also really cool. So I don't. It's not like that. I don't like this. So I really like being an illustrator.
mm.
But if I could choose, maybe only painting. But this would be just a dream. Maybe one day.
Yeah, yeah, maybe one day. Is that because obviously like the freedom that you will be able to do whatever you want and express your creativity like how you like it and not following extraction of a client maybe. That's why.
Yeah, exactly. And I have so many ideas for paintings for free art for so many, and because I'm very slow in painting, it needs almost a month for me to finish a painting, or maybe 2 weeks runabout, non-stop. And but I have such a long list with ideas, and it's hard. It's not possible to realize them all, and because I'm so slow. And yeah, that's a pity. But yeah, it's okay. I won't complain. So next month, so it's not sure yet, but I guess in January we will open. There's a show with artworks, painted artworks by me, and this is
Amazing.
since a long time the first like public show with the paintings, and um, this is cool. So to finally present them in the public, because in the last 2 years in the pandemic, I painted some huge canvases, and they are really big. And
Oh, that's cool. Exciting for you.
and that and
How did you doing um, illustration, which is client based, and doing graffiti, which is mostly like going outside. And maybe how did you deal with the lockdown and all that time that you were not be able to go outside and do what you liked? Did you focus on your paintings only, or did you find a way to do your other stuff as well?
yeah, so for me, the beginning of the pandemic, it wasn't so such a big problem, because by an incident we moved into a new apartment just b- before the pandemic started, 2 months or something.
Hmm.
And it's very close to the nature, and that's why we spend a lot of time in the forest here in the outskirts of Berlin.
Nice.
And this was really cool because there was no need to go in the city anymore. Everything was closed. There was lockdown, and so for me it wasn't a problem. And yeah, and in the meantime, I was painting a lot because I found a nice studio also here. This is also in the forest, very close to the big lake, Müggel Lake, and there are also a lot of other artists, and it's like artist community. And I painted a lot in this room, and also at home. Here, I'm at home now. I'm working as like a
Hmm.
little studio also here, and I can paint here either. And for me, this lockdown situation wasn't a big problem, because in this beautiful apartment here, I have enough space and a lot of time to paint. Some jobs were canceled at the beginning of this time. This was bad, of course, but after now, already 2.5 years later, or 3 years almost, some of these jobs that were postponed, and I realized them in the meantime. Only one large job was canceled completely. So yeah, it was a bad time, but for me it was not too bad. So I had some I was lucky to be here close to the nature, and
it's every time that I ask that to artists, they always like, yeah, obviously it was a bad situation for everybody, but I can enjoy it to just be on my own and paint and do my art the whole day, every day for like months. So the artists were quite happy.
For I guess for musicians it was way more bad, because all the concerts and everything didn't work, but for painters there was no change, because they are sitting in their studios all the time. So doesn't make a difference. So only the socializing aspect of artist life really this was a bad thing. So not go to some visit your friends or go to a bar or parties. This is this aspect that I really enjoyed in Berlin, of course, to go to openings and vernissages or some decent techno parties. So this was really missed, but so in the meantime this is possible again. So no, I don't complain nowadays.
How do you I wanna kind of end up on this question. I don't want to take too much time out of your day. What's you know how maybe sometimes people can see, and probably people that they're not part of they don't understand the subculture of graffiti and how can be important for like some people be able to do that kind of art, street art. How do you respond to people that say graffiti is vandalism and they're not supposed to do it, and the streets they get dirty and all the kind of things? As a graffiti artist yourself, how do you respond to some people that say stuff like that?
Yeah, so should I say I prefer painted walls, definitely. Even I think on a gray wall, even a bad tag or a bad graffiti is better than no paint at all. So I really like that Berlin is covered with tags, graffiti, throw ups, big dirty pieces, because this this is like a texture for the city, like tattoos or some older tattoos, some other ones that are more beautiful, and that I really like this aesthetic. And so of course people who are not into this culture, I understand that they don't understand it and they don't like it, and maybe the fact that it's illegal and that you paint on some property from other people. Of course these are the disadvantages of everything, but the result that the
aesthetic,
the buildings are covered with this stuff, I like it. I like also the dirtiness and the quick dirty stuff, but I also understand if people don't like it. But that's of course it's a problem. And but it's like it is.
Yeah, it's it's been around for like it's still quite young kind of like art style, the graffiti street art. It's been around since the, I don't know, the 80s, I think, maybe when it started, end of 80s. So it's still a young style, and maybe later on people will understand more and they will not even think about it anymore. I don't think even now it's a big problem. Like people don't really care maybe at the moment, as maybe at the beginning when I was a kid. Graffiti was you were a criminal if you were doing graffiti. It's when I actually was doing it. Like it's so maybe in the future it will be seen as a normal thing. And I saw I know that I lived in Bristol as well for a long time, and Bristol is a big graffiti in the UK, like in a big graffiti scene, and there is even international graffiti festival. So there are more like events like that, and it's more common to see stuff like that around. So in the future will be seen as a normal thing for sure. But yeah, it gives the texture of the dirtiness, and it seems like the city is being lived, and it's not just a postcard, a nice postcard, clean, but somebody lived there and they left a tag and they left a graffiti. And so it's I like as well. It gives the really nice dirtiness. The dirtiness word, it's a really what describes the best. It's really nice. It's really nice.
Of course, and also the development that happened in the last couple of years with the big, beautiful painted murals. So this is like the next step in this evolution, of course. All the illegal graffiti is cool, but even these big murals that appear now on a lot of like big like walls in the city, they are so cool because if you have this very big gray wall with nothing on it, it's so cool to transform it into a big artwork that everybody can enjoy. This is a super cool development, and I really would like it if the cities and governments of cities would appreciate this even more and support to paint big murals in the city, so that you have way more art everywhere instead of boring gray walls.
Yeah, no, it becomes
happy.
part of young generation culture, meaning like I don't know, many times I said to my friends, oh, let's meet where there is that graffiti. Let's meet there because everybody knows that graffiti because it's been there for like ages. So everybody knows that graffiti. So let's meet there because, and then from there we go places. Like it becomes part of everyday life, and especially for young people, it's I think it's really important to have this kind of like subculture, street culture part of the everyday life for the youngest generation. And I'm super into it and I really like it. But anyway, Vidam, I don't want to take too much time out of your day. Thank you very much to be part of the podcast. It was a great conversation. I was really excited to talk to you about your artworks and graffiti in general. So thank you again.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
My pleasure.